What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update where we're going to look into the last 24 hours of Tottenham news. And Dan Kilpatrick has been speaking, and he says the club are determined to give Ange Postecoglou the time and support needed to build a squad in his image, which leaves many players facing uncertain futures. We did hear last week that it could be over a dozen players up for sale at Tottenham. I find it hard to believe that will happen over the course of one window, but I guess this is going to happen over the course of a few different windows.
Well, let's hope we can get as many out that we need to get out in the next window. Obviously, Ange was very clear when he says change means change, and that means letting players go, even if you think, fans might think these are good players, but that doesn't mean that they are players that are ready to play the kind of football that Ange Postecoglou wants to play, and that will leave a few players out in the cold, which maybe there's some surprises to be had in terms of who's going to be let go. It remains to be seen who it is. Obviously, of these players who have uncertain futures, I don't know if they're talking about a lot of players who are obviously coming back on loan as well. There's a lot of players in the current squad who it's obvious that we're selling. People like Højbjerg, I think people like Emerson. I think those kind of players, it's obvious that Tottenham are going to be looking to sell in the summer. But I do wonder if there are some surprises when it comes to people who might go out the door. People like maybe Richarlison, people maybe like Bissouma. I don't know. I'm not sure who's on the chopping block, to be honest. But it remains to be seen what kind of players Ange doesn't fancy. Because I'm looking at the team.
Manuel Solomon could be one.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if Manuel was definitely one, to be honest. I don't know if it's worth pursuing him.
Ben Davies could be one.
I think Ben Davies makes sense.
But you talk about all those players, right? And that's still a lot of players, even like without thinking about the standard players that start week in, week out for us. You're looking at, if I just go through the squad now, you could probably put Ollie Skip in there, that's one. You'd probably put Højbjerg in there, that's another one. Bissouma and Richarlison, which are maybes, that's 4. Brian Hill, 5. Emerson, 6. Timo Werner won't be here, that's 7. Giovanni Lo Celso, 8. Ryan Sessegnon, 9. Who's next? Manuel Solomon, 10. Ben Davies, 11. There's a lot of players, and that's without kind of trying to think about different players.
That's what you got to do. You got to be ruthless.
Plus the loan players coming back.
But I think that's the right thing to do in this kind of situation. We need to thin the squad a bit so we can add quality, and we need to make sure that we're getting players in the team that not only can play Ange's system, but are more ready to fight for their place as well. I think that is the right thing to do. It's going to be a big job. Obviously, I felt we did quite well in terms of getting people out, but unfortunately, a lot of people last summer, but a lot of them had to go on loan because we couldn't get permanent deals. So
this is the constant theme, though, isn't it?
That's the constant thing, and that's us paying for our previous mistakes. That's why it's so crucial to get big transfers right, because otherwise you leave yourself in this situation, or you do what Arsenal did, which is just cancel a load of contracts.
Now that a lot of these players are going into their final year, I think the club will be more willing to do that, or you just put them on loan for their final year and try and get as much wages as you can off the books. So now coming into their final contract alone isn't as big of an issue as it was maybe last year or the year before.
Yeah, I hope we can get whatever fee we can and put it towards bringing new players in, but that's always the hardest thing, especially in the recent years. I felt like 5 years ago, before pre-pandemic, clubs were more willing to spend silly money. Clubs were buying players willy-nilly. Jeff Schlipp was going for 15 million. Clubs were just willing to spend. But since that's happened, clubs are a lot more prudent now, and now you see a lot more loans, a lot more even players in their last contract going on year loans and things like that. So it is become the hardest thing in football, shifting unwanted players.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. But let's talk about specifics now. As the Footy Insider are talking about Emerson Royal, and they say Tottenham will tell Emerson Royal he is free to find a new club this summer and will accept an offer for around £20 million for the Brazilian international. How much did we sign him for?
22.
22. So we want our money back, essentially. I do think they will accept maybe a tiny loss on him, maybe 15 million or something like that.
You have to. I think Emerson is the quintessential kind of player that can't play Ange's way. He's a good player in his own right, but he's so uncomfortable in tight spaces when the ball at his feet. He's got no composure. He's really like not the kind of player you want when you're trying to keep possession. You're trying to build up from the back. Emerson Royal just hinders it at every opportunity. So even if we have to take a loss, I think it's important that people like Emerson get replaced. And I think it's the right thing to do to listen to offers.
What kind of club do you think pick up an Emerson Royal? Do you think he stays in England or goes abroad somewhere?
Maybe somewhere in Spain. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, obviously he was in Barcelona. I don't think he's going to go back there.
Maybe back to Betis or something
like that. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that'll be a good move for him, and I think maybe or a mid-table Premier League team. I wouldn't be surprised if someone like picks him up there, because I think he's a good player. He can play in the Premier League. I think just when you're at the top end, when you're trying to fight for big things, these are the kind of players going to let you down, I feel.
Yeah, the reality.
Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. The reality is he's just worlds apart in terms of his style of play and our style of play are just complete worlds apart. So he is one of the ones that do need to leave this summer. Let's talk about Richarlison now, because this is an interesting one. Jack Pickford says there is serious interest from Saudi Arabian clubs in Richarlison this summer. The interest would see the club make their money back on the fee that they did pay Everton. They did pay Everton for the forward, which is about £60 million. Or euros, I can't remember which one, but
50 million plus add-ons.
So if I offered you that right now, money back for Richarlison, are you taking it?
If we've got a number of players lined up in that position who we feel is a better fit, yeah, I'll take it. I think 60 million is a good price. Obviously, that's what we paid for him. If Richarlison's happy to leave, I like Richarlison, and obviously, I think when he's played this season, he's been, by and large pretty decent. But I still think technically he's lacking that little bit where if we had someone a bit of one level above, I think he can make a world of difference to how we play. Just little things like when the ball comes into feet and he does a miscontrol or he does a little layoff and it doesn't find a teammate and all of a sudden the attack breaks down. I think he's clearly a good finisher. I think his ability to do those first-time finishes is really valuable. And I think he does have value. And I do think he would be a good backup striker. But if you're offering me 60 million at this point, considering his injury record and considering his quality, I think it's a good deal. I think it's a good deal, and I think it's probably worth taking.
I completely agree. And when you're looking at strikers from around Europe or even inside the Premier League, is there anyone that tickles your fancy?
I think someone like Solanke would be a better fit. I think someone like I think Jimenez might be a better fit. There's a lot of strikers out there who I think the guy from Bologna, Joshua Zirkzee, I like him as well. I think he would be a better fit. Someone a bit more physical but as well just a bit higher technical ability. And I think that's what we should be looking for. But
that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories we spoke about today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.